Good morning, everybody. I am Christy O'Neill with the Okanagan County WorkSource, and this morning we are joined by Daiam Navarro, Community Liaison for the Wenatchee WorkSource, and she is going to be presenting her a little bit on how to find your superpower. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Daiam, and thank you to everybody who is joining us during this expo.
Thank you, Christy, for the introduction. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me today and for joining us with our presentation for superpowers. I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to identify and transfer your quote unquote superpowers, which we're talking about skills when we say superpowers. And we're going to talk about how you can transfer them from classroom to career. And if any of you guys have ever been in any type of interview, maybe you've had an exit interview for your high school graduation, or maybe you've been in an interview for a job or a scholarship, you might remember that one of the hardest things to put on a resume might be conveying what you're good at, especially for someone who hasn't had much of professional experience. So today that's what I'm going to share with you guys is how can we identify them? How do we derive them from experience that we've had and how to strengthen your skills and then how to market them so that you can get that call back. And I do want to say that I saw some people from Soap Lake earlier and I just want to shout out. I am from Ephrata, so pretty close there. Okay, so let's get started with what is a skill? Have we really thought about what a skill is? Well, it's the ability to do something that comes from either training, experience, or practice. They can be things that come naturally to a person or something that just comes easy to them as well. But they can also be skills that are learned through experiences, education, or training. And usually they're divided into two categories. These are the most common ones that like to talk about, and those are the hard skills. The hard skills are technical or industry specific skills like carpentry skills, software development skills, computer skills. These are skills you gain through education, specific training, or again, yeah, education or specific training. So, for example, when you go to your dentist, all of those people went through some type of specific training, and what they do is hard skills. Other than the fact that they talk to you while your mouth is full, but the other stuff is a hard skill. And then the other category is the soft skill. These are also known as transferable skills, and these are non-technical skills that do come easier or more naturally to a person. These are things like people skills, communication skills, being creative. These are also skills that can be transferred to any type of job, so they're not necessarily specific or tied to an industry. But before we start diving into identifying specific skills, we need to make sure that we understand our interests. Like, what are some of the things that we like to do, some of the things that we don't like to do? What are some of our preferences? And this is going to allow us to have a better focus when we start diving in to identify specific skills. So when we look at this, we identify from these groups that the realist person likes working with things, including living things, hands-on practical activities, making, growing, or improving things, and it gets great satisfaction from seeing their quality work complete at the end of the day. The investigator, this is the person who likes working with things and ideas through research, problem solving, the problem solving analysis, and finds fulfillment in unraveling mysteries. Group number three is the artistic person. This one has a preference for working with people and ideas in creative, original, imaginative ways and is energized by their self expression. Group number four is the social style. And this person likes working with people and is supportive, cooperative, and nurturing and finds greatest satisfaction in helping others. Group number five, the enterprising. This person prefers working with people and data and is ambitious, persuasive, and entrepreneurial, and competitive and measures success by achievement. And the conventional worker prefers working with things, data, and is detailed, organized, and systemic, and prefers to conform to established rules and policies. So when we review these groups, as we review these groups, select the one that most resonates with you Do you prefer to do things and ideas like the ones in group number 2, or do you find yourself enjoying research and problem solving and doing analysis? Or do you prefer data like in group number 6 and like to have everything detailed and organized? We can have many, many skills, but not all of them are necessary to include in your professional profile. Like I can stand on my tippy toes, but unless I'm applying to a ballet institution, I probably don't want that in my professional profile. So understanding our preferences and our interests are really going to allow us to focus on those skills that are going to be that are going to be utilized in our professional career or education. So now let's dive into some of the ways that we can identify specific skills. We've already understood our preferences, and now we can dig deeper into specific areas in identifying skills. And there are many ways to go about doing this, but I'm just going to share a few with you guys. And the first one is making a list. Make a list of all the things that you enjoy doing, the ones that come naturally to you, the skills that you all the skills, good ones, bad ones, the skills that you want, and also the skills that you have, but skills that you want to have in the future. Maybe you see people that have certain skills and you want to have those skills. Observe your personality and search for what characteristics you're good at, including the ones that are often perceived as challenging, such as being too chatty, maybe being overly descriptive in writing, or not being able to stand still, because these can all be translated into desirable skills. For example, being chatty can be translated into being social. Being too descriptive can be translated into having communication skills. And being fidgety can be energetic or have the ability to work in a fast paced environment. So, although these are often overlooked, when you use them in the right setting and in the right environment, or when you tweak them to be used in these appropriate settings, they can be quite advantageous. I used to talk a lot in class, and I spent a lot of my lunches in detention. And I'm not saying you should do that, but I learned that having that as a skill, being chatty, has come has been a useful skill in my career. I'm not afraid to talk to people, and it has allowed me to connect with customers throughout my professional career. And every job that I've had to interact with people, and having the ability to talk a lot has allowed me to make some very nice connections. So in my resume, I do include it, but I don't include it as chatty. I include it as social. I have social skills. Also, think back on previous experiences that you've had or projects. This is a great way to identify skills. So, for example, think of the clubs or the sports or projects that you were involved in and what you learned from each one of them. Maybe you were a volunteer at the concession stand and managed the register. The skills that you learned from that could have been cash handling skills or people skills. Think about the tasks that you were involved in school. Maybe you were a project leader, a team captain, ASB president, or office assistant. As a team captain or a captain of a sport or ASB president, maybe you led a team. So you can derive learned leadership and collaboration or coordinating skills. And maybe you were in an accounting class where you had to do a lot of Excel spreadsheets, and you can use that. You can use that as a skill. That is a skill. Knowing Excel and how to do amazing spreadsheets, that is a skill that you can derive from there. Another thing you should start doing, or if you're not already doing, is pay attention to the feedback. So I think we've all been there where you have to write an essay and you see in red marker your grade, but you also have some suggestions from your teachers or feedback. Pay attention to those. What are they saying about your work? And if there is something on there, or maybe there isn't, set some time aside to speak with your professors or your teachers and just ask them, what do you see in my work? Or maybe they did put something in there, use less adjectives. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Or you think, just provide me some feedback on my work. Sometimes we don't see our own skills, but other people do. Ask a friend one day and just ask them, what do you think is my skill? And I'm sure that they're going to tell you something that you didn't even consider. So having somebody else tell you, or just asking for that feedback, is a really useful tool for you to be able to identify some of those skills. And then another thing that I'd like to touch on is the online assessment tools. There's various assessment tools online that can help you identify your skills based on interests or abilities. One of them that I know you can use is a skills matcher, and this one helps you identify your skills. And the other cool thing that it does is based on those skills that it ends up saying you have, it'll match you with specific jobs that it feels tie into those skills nicely. So these are some of the things that you can do. But for someone who hasn't had a lot of experience, go back to the recall projects or experience. And by experience, I mean the tasks that you performed in school and also paying attention to your feedback. Look at those, go back and review those, and start making a list of all those things that you see. So let's do an example here. We talked about driving skills from tasks and experiences. Let's say that you were an office assistant and your task was to answer the phones and emails or answer the phones and send emails. Some of the skills that can be derived from that is having oral and written communication. You not only had to answer the phone, the oral part, and written or send emails, which is the written part. And maybe you also greeted the people as they came in. Maybe parents came in or other visitors came in and you greeted them. So that shows that you could have learned the oral and written communication skills and customer service skills. Or maybe you had a digitools class where you use computers often, or maybe you were part of the yearbook staff where again you use computers often. The skills that can be derived out of there are knowledge of computers and computer software. So start thinking about the some of these tasks, and you can even use a table like this. What are some of the tasks that you did, and then what are some of the activities that you did, and how can that be turned into a skill? Do that for all of your projects or all of the involvement that you had, your clubs, volunteer, and I assure you that you will find some skills from the tasks that you did. So now that we have mastered, or sorry, now that we've identified our skills, how do we go about mastering the skills? Well, as I mentioned earlier, this one can be used for two things. One of them is identifying, and the other one is strengthening them. And that is asking for feedback. Ask for feedback from your teachers, your peers, your supervisors. When you do a project or a presentation, ask them, how did I do in my presentation? What do you think I could have done differently to strengthen that skill? This gives you another view of how you did. And usually, being our own worst critics, we tend to think the worst. I did awful. Nobody was paying attention to me. But asking somebody else to tell you how you did, you're going to see a different perspective. And it's going to allow you the opportunity for continuous improvement if there was something that you did wrong. The other one is challenge yourself. Challenge yourself by taking advantage of opportunities that use your skill. If you know that you were a captain of the cheerleading team and you felt that you had some leadership skills, challenge yourself. Run for ASB president. It might mean stepping out of your comfort zone, but if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, you won't know how you can improve. And remember, practice makes perfect. Surround yourself with others of familiar skills and learn from them. Learn how they have mastered their skills and follow their example. Sign up for courses. Sign up for courses that focus on developing your skill. So, for example, if you've identified that maybe public speaking is your skill, sign up for a public speaking class. This is going to allow you to learn more about the skill, and it's also going to allow you the opportunity for practice and get really awesome feedback from all of your other peers that are going to be there learning public speaking. Find a mentor. A mentor can guide you and provide you constructive criticism, and they can help you refine your skill. This is similar to finding that person, surrounding yourself in the environment of your skill. This is very similar. Find a mentor that's really excellent or really good at the skill that you have, and use them as an example, but also ask them to assist you in refining your own skill. And lastly, set skills. Once you've identified the weakness of your skill, set a goal of what you would like it to look like in the future. Maybe if you feel like you are a confident public speaker, but you notice that maybe you use too many filler words, or when you're in a room you stare at one person, your goal can be to decrease the amount of filler words you use or to fan the room appropriately. Set realistic goals. Packaging your skills. So we used this table a little earlier to talk about driving the skill from the task. Now, when we talk about driving skills, we're going to use it to visualize, or we're going to use this table to visualize how we can package them for a professional profile, a resume, or a cover letter. We want to articulate your tasks into what the employer is looking for. So use just enough descriptive words to paint a picture to the employer of what you can be like in the role that you're applying to. Quantify your tasks to show the magnitude of your capabilities. And you can think of money, percentages, people, anything that has to do with numbers when we talk about quantifying. So, in our example here, let's use the top one, answering phones and email. We identified that oral and written communication and customer service were our skills. So, when we talk about adding detail and quantifying our achievements or quantifying our tasks to articulate and paint the picture to our employer, we're going to provide a description on our resume or a professional profile like this. Provided customer service with strong verbal and written communication skills supporting 15 staff members. Now, if we just said that we answered phones and email, that tells us what you did, but it doesn't tell us what the magnitude of what you did. Maybe the position you're applying to is a place where you're going to be seeing over 500 people a day. So you want to let them know what your capabilities are. Not, I don't just answer the phones and send email. I can do it for this many people. And that's what we want to do with your skills. You want to make sure that you can show the magnitude of your skill. So if your skill going along with your example is public speaking, show or describe how many people you've had in a room at once when you do public speaking, and that tells us that you don't just do it in a virtual setting or in front of two other people, but you did it in an auditorium of 500 people, and that really gives the employer or whoever you're wherever you're applying, it could be a scholarship or a school, it gives them the ability to place you into their position, or to just see the magnitude of your skills and abilities. And when we talk about marketing ourselves, don't be shy when you're marketing yourself. Sometimes it's hard to toot our own horn, but in this case, you need to do it. It is necessary. When you're applying to anything, be it schools, scholarships, or jobs, you're going to be in competition with everybody else who's applying to it. So don't be shy. Do your best to shine and make yourself stand out to whoever is going to be reading or seeing your professional profile. So the first thing is creating a 30 to 60-second elevator speech. This is a short synopsis of your experience and your skills. And the idea with the elevator pitch is that if you are stuck in an elevator with a professional, you can give them a description about your professional self, highlighting skills and abilities in 60 seconds or less. It's like a commercial, but for yourself. And this can be used in an interview or simply just when you meet somebody at a job fair or a resource fair, and it provides them just enough information about you to interest them in wanting to know more about you. And the last thing when you market yourself is be confident. Be confident in what you know, your own your skills and your abilities, and be confident when you market them. I know it can be a little intimidating, especially when it's about a scholarship or a job, and interviews can be intimidated in a panel as well. But they're just people. Everybody that you're going to encounter are just people. So be confident in what you know, and be confident that you are strong in that skill. And how we gain that confidence is practice. As we saw that Holly said, practice, practice, practice makes perfect. And that's how you're also going to gain your confidence. But most importantly, just be confident in what you know, and be confident when you go into any type of interview, whether it's for a job, a scholarship, or a school. Be confident in yourself.